All right, everyone, welcome to the 2024 Rotundo Wiffle Ball League Draft. Today, we are joined by two analysts here, Blake Kurlander, the Western Pacific manager, and Luke Rotundo, the Cowboys manager, who just won the World Series, so I know he's feeling great here to be at the table. How are we feeling, guys?
Certainly this is probably the most exciting year we've had in RWL history. This is the third annual year that we've done this. You can argue that this is the most talent this league will ever have seen with some of the incoming draftees, and I'm looking forward to see how the teams shake out after today.
How are we feeling, Blake, today?
Real excited to be here. Exciting day for us, the Western Pacific, with the #1 pick. Like Luke said, there's a lot of talent this year, so ready to see that displayed on the field this upcoming summer.
And like you said, the Western Pacific with the #1 pick, they're actually on the clock right now. They have a couple of minutes to select. And before we get to that selection, which I think, you got a lot of options here for the Pacific, Luke. I think you got, you can go different routes here. What do you think the Pacific need to get here to just fill up the needs to try to get them on a championship pace?
Well, certainly, I think, when Blake won the lottery here, this receiving #1 overall pick, I guess, kind of the obvious answer, you look at the top of the board and you see a name like Tate Yannick, finished, third overall MVP voting, arguably one of the best pitchers in the league, right behind, Ben himself. I think for the, talking about the Pacific in general, they definitely need another pitcher behind Blake, another bat, and someone to help shore up the defensive side of the team.
Yeah. And I think another interesting name to add at that #1 pick is Josh Wilmot. This guy won MVP in the first ever series. He's a pretty solid pitcher. We saw a little bit of flashes of him last year. He filled in for Michael for you guys. You're a little familiar with him. He hit very phenomenally. Pitching was a little iffy. So I'm really excited to see what the Pacific do here. And I have word that the pick is actually in. So we will take you guys to the desk and get the first pick going. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the 2024 Rotundo Wiffle Ball League Draft. This is the third annual year of doing this. Everyone is super excited to get this thing going, and trust me, we are too. We got loads of talent coming in this year, and this draft class is going to be amazing. Shout out to all these young kids getting ready to start their careers. It's going to be a fun year, and with that being said, we're going to get started. With the first overall pick in the Rotundo Wiffle Ball League Draft, the Western Pacific select Tate Yannick, pitcher, DH. And there it is. The Blake Kurlander gets his guy at 1, Tate Yannick. I think this is just a home run of a pick. I think even Blake can testify this. When he won the draft lottery back in November, this pick was in immediately. Blake, how do you feel getting your guy at 1, man?
Yeah, like you said, as soon as the draft lottery ended, I pretty much knew I was taking. Tate's just outstanding player, both offensively and defensively. I feel like we need someone to get in our locker room that can do both offense and defense.
Yeah. Luke, what are your thoughts on that pick there by Tate?
Yeah, and on my draft board, he's the undisputed #1. The production's there. He hit .311, 6 home runs. He was second in ERA, right behind Ben at 1.28. There's a reason he finished third overall in the MVP voting. I think it was a home run pick, and it certainly made Blake's job a little bit easier on draft day.
Now, one question I have for you, Blake, is there any concerns of maybe the transition from being a manager to having to maybe be in command, listening to you, or any kind of things? How is the locker room going to work when you have a guy like Tate's statue who's not being a manager but a player?
Yeah, I think the plan right now is just co-inspire with me and Tate, discuss every little decision we have, either during the game or after the game or before.
That's a good pick. And with that being said, now the Midwest Express, the very new team in this league, are now on the clock. What do we look like there for the Austin Dubeck, first-year manager, coming in at #2 spot? It's a big pick. What do you think these guys go with here?
Well, it's an interesting time for Austin and the Express. It's a brand new franchise. You could certainly take it anywhere. There's a couple guys I got on my board. Connor Brock, who my personal pick to be the Silver Slugger in this upcoming year. He bat .350, had a couple home runs. And you could argue he was one of the best players, when it came down the stretch. Then you could look at the other side. Mitchell McIntyre is brand new to this league. You can argue he probably has the highest ceiling of any prospect, maybe better than Clayton.
Big take right there. I like it.
And then, I think, where you could see the Express go is Josh Wilmot. He won the MVP in the first year of this league. He's an instant impact player, and my pick to potentially be the dark horse MVP of this upcoming season.
So much talent, and like I said, Blake, how do you think, if you're Austin Dubeck, your first year as a manager, how do you follow up a pick like Tate Yannick? It's a perfect pick. What do you think they go for here?
Well, if I was Austin, I would try to find a guy that will solidify my team, have that no doubt MVP type player, and I think get former MVP himself, Josh Wilmot. I think that's the pick right here.
I think that's a great pick, and I think I have word that the pick for the second pick is actually in, so we're going to take you guys to the table. And with the second pick in the Rotundo Wiffle Ball League Draft, the Midwest Express select Josh Wilmot, pitcher, DH. Yeah, man, and there you go. The Midwest Express following up the Western Pacific, getting Josh Wilmot, and I think this played perfectly. I think this is a great pick here for Austin. First-year manager. You go to the drawing board. What do you get? You get best player available, in my opinion. You get a first-year MVP in the league. You get a very talented guy. How are you guys feeling about this selection for the new franchise in the Express?
Well, I think honestly, if it wasn't for Tate Yannick in this draft, Josh would probably be the undisputed number 1 overall pick. I mean, like we talked about earlier, he's the first MVP in this league's history. He's an instant impact player on both sides of the wiffle ball, and I think he's going to be up there for MVP running when it comes down to the end of the year. So
it's fair. Blake, how do you feel about this building block that the Express get in their franchise?
Yeah, it's another great pick by the Express. Like Luke said, Josh is an MVP caliber player, both offensively and defensively. Just great selection here by the Express.
Yeah, now you move on to the Frost. They're on the clock. First-year manager Alex Coco taking the reins. You got back-to-back picks here, and I think the first thing you look at for the Frost, you got to get a pitcher. Talk about Alex Coco, he's a decent pitcher. He's probably a number 2. So I think for the Frost to really establish himself as a serious franchise under Alex Coco, you got to go out and get an ace. And I think I like a guy like Mitchell McIntyre potentially going here. Being a rookie in this league, it might be hard for him to get going if Alex wants to go that route, but he's just such a raw prospect. But, there's many routes you can go with back-to-back picks here.
Yeah, if like you mentioned, if they want to go in the pitcher route, the 2 names that stand out to me was first, Mitchell McIntyre, like you said, but also I feel like not a lot of people are talking about Blaine in this league. I mean, in limited outings last year, he had a 0 ERA and 2-0 in both of his starts. Mm-hmm. I could see him becoming one of the best pitchers in this league if he continues to improve and get more starts under a Frost team.
Yeah, and like we said, back-to-back picks. Why not, maybe double up on pitching? Be like Alex says, I don't want to pitch this year. Why don't I get Blaine and a guy like Mitchell and let them take the reins and just be a hitter? And I think that's something that could be done here. But Blake, what do you think that the Frost should do, or what they should do to get a good building block at this 3rd pick?
Yeah, I agree with kind of what both you said. Start off with maybe going pitching first, then maybe go offense with the next pick. Just like you said, Mitchell's up there, first rookie off the board potentially. Then you get another solid hitter, maybe like a Connor Brock, or back it up with Blaine at the pitching also in the hitting. So
there's a lot of options here for Alex, and I think we have the pick. It is actually in. I'm getting called that it is, so we'll take you guys to the table. And with the 3rd overall pick in the Rotundo Wiffle Ball League draft, the Frontier Frost select Mitchell McIntyre, pitcher. There you go. The Frontier Frost getting Mitchell McIntyre at 3. Now, Luke, I know this pick, I think you like it the most out of everyone in this room. Talk about what you think you could see in Mitchell McIntyre in this league.
Yeah, without, putting too much pressure on the kid, I think he honestly has a chance to have the highest ceiling out of any prospect ever. And that's saying a lot, especially after, we saw the emergence of Alex Coco and Clayton Krish last year. But for me, it comes down to a couple simple things. He was pretty dominant on the mound over the Winter League. There is an unknown with the bat production. We haven't seen that yet. But, given the length of the season, I have no doubt that he's going to end up being one of the best players for this Frost team.
Blake, how do you think you feel about this selection here?
Yeah, another great pick by the Frost right here. I think Mitchell right now is probably the front runner for Rookie of the Year based on this production from the Winter League and this intangibles that he has.
I think Mitchell McIntyre, he is just the dream pitcher build. You got like a 6'4", 6'5" dude, pitcher in high school. He figured out a little wiffle ball in 5 minutes. So I think you give this guy a couple months to practice behind the scenes, be ready for season. He's going to be discussing, and I think maybe even a dark horse for Cy Young. Outside of Rookie of the Year, I think this guy can stack up an award show. Like you said, we don't want to put too much pressure on the kid, but I know the Frost got a gem in this one. And going back to it, like we said, they have the next pick also with the 4th pick. Where do you go with this? If Alex Coco says, hey, I don't want to pitch, we can go get a guy like Blaine or even a guy like Everett who's another pitcher in this draft. Or do you want to go offense and hope Alex wants to figure it out as a pitcher to be a second arm? What do you think?
Yeah, there's 2 different routes you can go here. I would say, pitching can be kind of undervalued in this league. I would say it's probably one of the best intangibles that you can have on a team. So you either look at a guy like I mentioned earlier, Blaine, or even you get into a guy like Gavin. I know he's a name that we haven't brought up yet, but he's probably one of the best pure hitters in the league. He won back-to-back most clutch player. But then, sometimes you don't want to overthink it. Connor Brock hit 350 with a couple bombs. Like I mentioned, he's probably, when he's on fire, he's probably one of the best hitters in the league.
Yeah, I think you bring up Connor Brock. That's a great name. And I think Alex Coco and Connor Brock potentially teaming up here, that's one of the best offensive duos in the league outside of maybe me and Clayton. You had a 1-2 punch that's going to be hard to get out. again, the thing with Connor is I feel like we've never seen the full potential of this guy. I feel like, the past two this is going to be his third year in the league. We've only seen these flashes of greatness from him, like, late season runs. Like, we want to see a whole season of this guy. And I think if he gets picked by here and he unleashes that, the Frost can be completely deadly and a team that you want to watch out for 2024. So with that being said, the fourth pick is actually in. We're going to take you guys to the desk. The fourth overall pick in the Rotunda Wiffle Ball League draft, the Frontier Frost select Connor Brock, DH, infield. And there you go. You get Connor Brock right off the board. I think this is the second straight year he's gone fourth overall. Blake, I just want to dive in before analyzing the pick. You had Connor Brock on your team last year. I know there were maybe some little weird issues with attitude and getting to games, but despite ruining all that, talk about the kid's talent and being able to produce.
Yeah, I mean, just based off talent-wise, he's obviously near the top of the board. Obviously a top 5 pick right here. Just like you said, he just flashes at times where he can absolutely be the best player in the league. If I'm Alex, I want to see that consistency every single series from him. So just hopefully he can get that from Connor.
I think if he gets that from Connor and we could see Mitchell being what we have hyped him up to be, I think the Frosts are a dark horse and an underrated team that could really do damage. I think Alex Coco, being a first-year manager, has really hit a home run here with those back-to-back picks. He's set himself up greatly, and you'll see his final selection later on in the draft. And moving on, we go right back to the Express snake draft for the first 6 picks. The Express are back on the clock. Where do you guys think that they should go here?
They could certainly go a multi different ways. They just selected, with their first pick, they selected Josh Wilmot, just a star player. So they could certainly look at 2 different routes. The name I like a lot is Blaine. I think he's the next best available player on the board. Like I mentioned, he had a 0 ERA he only had 2 starts, but he allowed 0 runs through either of them. He kind of exploded onto the scene the second half of last year and had a really good run throughout the playoffs. You can also argue he probably has the strongest arm in the league, to be honest, when you see him flash that arm strength. So I personally like Blaine for this pick. What do you guys think?
One guy name I like is Gavin Samaniego. You brought him up earlier. We haven't talked about him, but I think this is the right time to start bringing his name up. He's a super talented player. It's going to be his 3rd year in the league. But, winning most clutch back-to-back years, solidifying himself as one of the best bats in the league, especially in this draft class. Austin Dubek is a known pitcher. He can pitch. Josh is known he can pitch. Why don't you get maybe just the best pure offensive guy, a guy who can play defense, just a good guy there? I think that's a great route you can do. I don't think there's a wrong way for Austin to attack this, but what do you think they should do here, Blake? What do you think?
Like you guys said, he does have options, with Austin and now Josh on the team. You have some pitching to work with. You can also go pitching again with Blaine and also maybe go offense with Gavin, like you said, or maybe even Ricardo now, former All-Star also.
Yeah, especially with the field will be shifting. The lefties will have a little bit more room to work with, so like you just brought up a great name, Ricardo. He bat 265 last year. He's a first-time All-Star. Bringing him to a team with a new little field shift and some trees getting cut down, I think Ricardo might be a sleeper in this draft who could maybe fall or rise. We'll see where he goes, but I do have word that the pick is in for the 5th overall pick, and we'll see you guys at the table. The 5th overall pick in the Rotunda Wiffle Ball League draft, the Midwest Express select Blaine Ryan, pitcher, infield. And there it is. Blaine Ryan gets taken by the Express here. Austin Dubek capitalizing on his 2 first-round picks. I think there was no wrong way to go about this, but I think the first question we got to ask you guys is, who are the 2 pitchers in that room? You got 3 guys, which is definitely not an issue to have pitching flexibility in this league. We've seen pitching might be the most important aspect of this league, as you guys won a championship with 2 phenomenal pitchers. So maybe Austin's trying to recreate some of that formula to say, okay, let's get 3 guys, and whoever the best 2 are going to pitch, the other one's going to hit. What do you guys think about this pick here?
Yeah, honestly, I just think it's the classic example of, you don't want to overthink it. Blaine was the next highest guy on my draft board, so, I love the pick. I think he's going to slot in there nicely. They can use him. Not only is he a great pitcher, I think he's one of the best defenders in the league, so he's a plug-and-play guy pretty much anywhere on the field. So I think it's a great pick for them, and now we have a 3-headed monster on the Midwest Express. Like, how do you feel about that there?
Yeah, Austin, you guys have a good problem to have right now. Many options on the mound.
Yeah.
Honestly, go with whoever's arm's feeling good that day of the game.
That's true. I think that's a great pick there from Austin Dubek. And, you're going down the board, now it's like, okay, Austin Dubek, he gets Josh Wilmot, Blaine. You look at those 3, that's like you said, a 3-headed snake. We might be looking at one of the most well-rounded teams on paper. You look at it, and there's not really a drop-off from any of those guys. You got 3 elite guys who can pretty much do both. So I'm very interested to see how Austin's going to manage this team. Who's pitching this game, who's pitching this game. I think you're right. He might go whoever is the best arm that day, but phenomenal pick for Austin. First-year managers definitely built a strong roster to compete. And now you're Pacific are on the clock here, Blake. I think, you get Tate Yannick at 1. Where do you go after that? And I think many people say, oh, maybe Blake should take a pitcher here, maybe an Everett Kaplan if his name wants to be thrown out this early to just match Tate, or maybe Blake try to find that pitching that we saw in the first year and find a hitter like we said, Gavin or Ricardo. A lot of options here for the Pacific. Luke, what do you like to see they could maybe get here?
Yeah, the two names that stand out for me are both, like you said, both of them, Gavin and Ricardo. Gavin, probably one of the best pure hitters in the league, back-to-back most clutch player. I mean, he hit near 300 last year. And then you look at Ricardo. You all got to remember that the field has been shifted over a couple feet. So lefty bats are a lot more valuable this year than they have been in the past. So those are the two names that stand out for me.
Yeah, I think Blake really can't mess up a pick here. You got a lot of options to help him out, especially after landing Tate Yannick. You got a lot of things to do, and I've told that the manager next to me has put his pick in, and we will meet you guys at the table. And with the 6th overall pick in the Rotundo Wiffle Ball League draft, the Western Pacific select Gavin Samaniego, infielder, DH. And Blake Verlander has just capitalized a great pick here with Gavin Samaniego. I think, last year you guys were last place. You get a great draft class this year. 2 guys who have proven they can do it in this league, long tenured guys. You're building a big vet team, and I like what you're doing here. How do you feel about this selection here, Blake?
Yeah, I'm really excited about getting Gavin on the squad. After picking Tate first, I really feel like we have that ace on our team, so I wanted to go more offense this pick. Having Gavin my first year also, he was a waiver wire pickup for us, so and having him in the winter, I feel like we have that good chemistry going. Just hopefully continue that in the summer.
I know, and I think on paper the Pacific looking like they might be back to that World Series title hopes that we saw in the first year. Last year, not so great. A lot of things went downhill, but I'm very happy with that pick. Luke, how are we feeling about Blake Verlander's first 2 selections here?
Well, I think, one of my storylines for this season is could we potentially see the first RWL super team being formed? I think, the Pacific could have an argument for that. You get, Blake Verlander, you get Tate Yannick, and you get Gavin Samaniego. All 3 of those are all-star potential players. We haven't seen that in this league yet, so I love the pick. I think it's, the best available player, and I think it's going to be a formidable team next year.
Yeah, you bring up the super team. I think that's a great idea. Blake Verlander, obviously you had a down year compared to what we saw in your first year, so it's like if Blake can find what he did that last year, you add a guy who almost wins MVP, and you add a most clutch player. I mean, you're looking on paper like, wow, this team should be going deep, should do something good, and I know it's championship or bust, right, Blake? That's what we got.
That's the mentality right now.
I love the picks here, and with that being said, the Outlaws are actually on the clock for their first selection. And before we talk about their picks, Michael of the Cowboys got protected from the Cowboys, so the Cowboys, Serpents, and Outlaws have later picks due to protecting a player. Myself protected Clayton, and Connor protecting Jax Andrews. So this is why they're winding up their first pick at 7th. So, and without that being said, let's get going into it. And I think the first thing I think that they need to get is an offensive guy. An offensive guy that can really help your needs. We saw a lot of games where the Outlaws would throw really well, and Jax would struggle at the plate. Connor would put stuff in play, and they wouldn't get anything out of it. So I think maybe a guy like Ricardo we brought up who's sliding. I think he's a very good. I'm very high on Ricardo Blanco. I think he's a good dude to pick here. I think that's a great pick. What do you guys think of a route Connor could go here?
Yeah, I know you can argue that the Outlaws last year probably had one of the best pitching staffs in the league. You get Connor and Jax, who Jax in my opinion is probably one of the most slept on stars in the league. So definitely you want to add a bat to that team. It's the names that kind of jump off the page for me immediately are Ricardo and Stefano. Both of them, when they're hitting well, they're some of the best players in the league. Ricardo, it's not talked about enough. He made the All-Star team last year. And, like I mentioned earlier, the field's being shifted over, so being a left-handed batter is going to be a lot easier this year for him. You look at a guy like Stefano, pre-All-Star break, he was batting well over the 300s. I don't think there's anybody that can go with wrong here. So
I agree with you, Blake. How do you feel? What do you think your buddy Connor should do here?
Yeah, I think they got the pitching side down. Having Connor and Jax, it's a really good 1-2 duo on the mound. I think they have to get a bat right here. Having 3 lefties in your lineup is definitely difficult. Personally, for me, it's hard facing lefties in the lineup. So I think offense is the pick right here.
I agree with you, and with that being said, the pick is in, and we will teach you guys at the table. With the 7th overall pick in the Rotundo Wiffle Ball League draft, the United Outlaws select Ricardo Blanco, DH, first base. All right, folks, and there it is, the 7th overall pick, Ricardo Blanco landing in the Outlaws. He did play with them in the Winter League. I think he looked like a good mold, but we haven't seen what Ricardo will look like. Even their team, you got 3 lefties on a lefty more benefited field with a little bit of a shift. I think the Outlaws, I think Connor Paga, manager of the year in 2023, makes a great pick here. How do you guys feel?
Yeah, love the pick. The 3 lefties in the lineup is certainly going to be interesting. It's definitely going to be a headache for teams having to adjust for that. Yeah, I mean, you love a pick. I mean, it's pretty. I mean, that speaks to the talent of the league if you can get an all-star at 7.
I agree with you.
Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with it. Rick's a great bat. He's a kind of an underrated defender there at first base. So, I love the addition.
Blake, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, it's another great pick by a great manager here. Just going best player available, having Ricardo. I mean, his average could have probably been boosted even higher. He got robbed at times last year. Just great pick right here.
Yeah, only batting 265. Or not only, sorry, I'm not disrespecting Ricardo. 265 is phenomenal with 3 home runs. Imagine that could have been 6 or 7 home runs with this field potentially. You never know. I think this is a great pick, and it has so much more value that the field is being shifted over. I think Ricardo Blanco is a great selection here for Connor, and now we move into the 8th slot here. The Central Cowboys are on the clock, the reigning world champs, and we'll let Luke just sit over there, and I kind of want to analyze how we think that they should go. And I think the first name that jumps out of the page is Daniel Hopkins, and that's not because of his last name. Daniel Hopkins, a guy I want to bring on this board, is someone they won with in the World Series. He filled in for a player, never played before, and hit essentially a game-winning home run in the World Series. I think that's a name that jumps off to me. Even a guy like, and then a guy like Stefano. Stefano didn't get to see him in the playoffs, but he hit very good. Was an all-star snub by the smallest of hairs. A guy who walks, and I think that's what Luke and Michael want to get. Maybe a guy who can just get on and just because the Cowboys, they don't need pitching. So what do you think that the Cowboys, they got options here?
Yeah, I agree with you, Ben. I think offense is the choice here if I was Luke. Having Daniel up there still on the board, him and Michael together again with Luke, that'd be a great pick right here. And also Stefano, let's get some offensive production, get people on base, and just I think offense is the pick right here.
Mm-hmm. I think there's even you can get really, really interesting with a pick like maybe even Adam Coco or Everett Kaplan if Luke and Michael want to maybe exercise an emergency pitcher if Michael isn't there because Michael has some availability. He's got stuff to do. Michael's a busy guy, so why don't you be like, all right, if he's not here, we'll have a third pitcher and then just be even more dominant on the pitching side of the ball. I think Luke has a great plan in mind, and I think he will not pick wrong here. And we'll see you guys at the table because the pick is in. The 8th overall pick in the Rotunda Wiffle League draft, the Central Cowboys select Daniel Hopkins, infield. 8th overall pick, Daniel Hopkins landing with his older brother in the yellow and brown. Luke Rotundo, I think this is a great pick. And anyone out there, you see that last name, you go, oh, he just got picked because of his brother. But I think this is a no-brainer decision. You pick a guy who just showed you he can win a championship with the same team. So I think Luke did a great job here. You get Daniel Hopkins hit essentially the World Series winning home run in that Game 2 game with a 2-0 deficit at a 3-run home run. Great pick. Plays some pretty good defense, and there's obviously going to be great chemistry. I think the champs just got pretty big. They got a lot better maybe tonight, so I think that's a great pick. How are we feeling, Blake?
Yeah, I agree with you. Great pick by Luke here. Without Daniel, like you said, stepping up in the World Series, Luke wouldn't be sitting here as World Series champ, in my opinion. Daniel, just offense production, having that connection with him and Luke, and we'll see where they go with the next pick also. Great pick right here by Luke.
Now, Luke, after making that selection, it's your first pick of the draft class. You and Michael, fresh off of a World Series ring, where did you go to the drawing board? Like, all right, this is what we're going to go to here.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people are going to say it's just because of the the relation there, but for me, when I look at Daniel, I kind of see a mix of a little bit of Gavin there with the bat. I mean, he was clutch. I mean, he hit some serious hits in the World Series, and then I see a little bit of Jaden in him as well. With some of those defensive plays that he made. So, I think it's rare to find a combination in a play like that in the second round of the draft. So, this is kind of where we wanted to go from ever since that ring. So we're excited to have him back.
I could tell you I'm not a big fan of Daniel Hopkins because if he wasn't there, I maybe have 2 things on my fingers. So just saying, but just jokes aside, that's a great pick. And with that being said, now my Southern Serpents are on the clock. What do you guys think that the Serpents should do here?
Yeah, I mean, for the Serpents, how I kind of look at it, unfortunately, Clayton is not able to pitch. So I think the thing for them, they're definitely going to be looking at a pitcher. You look at a guy like Everett Kaplan. You look at a guy like, for me personally, Jane Patel. I think he showed flashes of being able to pitch, when he was there on the Dubs last year. So, for me, those guys kind of jump off the page. I think they're really trying to shore up, that side of the ball. And, they got offense settled down there with Ben and Clayton. So I think they're going to go with a pitcher here.
Yeah, I could see also maybe Ben running it back with one of his former teammates from last year, having Stefano still on the board, and Adam also. Adam was great for them last year, and so was Stefano. But Ben can maybe go in a different direction, go Everett, see if he can help him out with his movement, throwing some strikes, and we'll see. I'm excited to see where Ben goes here.
And I know the source of this pick very well. He has told me the pick is in, so we will see you guys at the desk. With the 9th overall pick in the Rotundo Wiffle Ball League draft, the Southern Serpents select Everett Kaplan, pitcher, DH.
Yeah, and there it is, and that's kind of like what me and Blake were saying. I think the Serpents wanted to go the pitcher route. They get a guy that did not have last year in Everett Kaplan. I think he's an instant impact player for them. Given limited time on the Dubs last year, he definitely showed flashes of being able to be an ace level starter in this league. There's a little bit of uncertainty with the bat. I think he kind of showed that out in the Winter League. So, given the length of a 21 game season, I have absolutely no doubts that he's going to figure it out. So I love the pick. Blake, what do you think?
Me too. I think it's a good pick also. And Everett definitely, he does have the stuff on the mound. Just finding the strike zone can be difficult at times for him, but having Ben as your manager, I feel like you can absolutely find the stuff when you need it the most. And also with the bat, Ben can help that out also.
Yeah, I'm very happy about this pick. Obviously the people back home don't know, but in the first year draft, I tried to get Everett. I was telling him back, like a little behind the scenes, I was like, I want you pitch on our team, and he got snaked right before my pick, and I had to, readjust. So, getting him finally after all these years of wanting him on my team is amazing. We had a little brief time during Winter League. I liked what I saw. I think he's got flashes. I'm just hoping we can capitalize on those flashes and really have a lockdown 1-2 arm. So I really like the pick.
Yeah.
And I do have word that we might have the first trade of the night. So, Luke, you want to tell us about what's going on tonight that we are breaking?
Yeah, this is the first trade of the draft. My Cowboys have moved up one spot. We traded the 11th overall pick and a 3rd round pick swap next year to the Serpents for their 10th overall pick. So we are now officially on the clock, and the Serpents have moved back one to the 11th overall pick.
Yeah, obviously accepting this trade is pretty awesome, but I think this can only mean one thing for the Cowboys. They see somebody as a threat that they might want, that think I was going to take, and they're moving up to get their guy. Now, I don't know who that guy could be. You look at guys like Adam Coco, Luke not wanting me to run back, what I had last year with Adam. Guy like Stefano, another guy I had last year who can hit the ball, because we saw the Cowboys, they get a defensive all-around guy. Now I think they just need to get a pure hitter. And I think Stefano might be the best pure hitter available, if I'm being honest. Blake, what do you think about this trade?
I was certainly surprised by this first trade of the night between the two guys right next to me. I could see Luke going offense again. I see Adam still on the board right here at 10. I feel like that's a good value for them. Also, Jaden's still here also. So you get a guy that gets on base a lot, and then Stefano as well. So I feel like offense.
It's a lot of names here, and obviously I took the trade because I feel like I have a view of what I want to do, but I don't know what the Cowboys will do here. So we're still projecting what Luke has in his brain over there of what he was looking at, what he was feeling. So with that being said, this 10th pick is in, and we will take you to the desk. Like previously stated, this pick has been traded as the Serpents originally had the 10th overall pick. Now the Cowboys will move up one slot, and the Cowboys will be selecting. And with the 10th overall pick in the Rotundo Wiffle Ball League draft, the Central Cowboys select Stefano Kotsonis, infield, DH. A lot to unpack here from the 10th overall pick is Luke Rotundo, and the Cowboys trade up to get Stefano Kotsonis. I think that is a phenomenal pick. We brought up Stefano's name a little bit, around the 6, 7, 8 range. He is really a pure hitter, and he can walk, and we saw during Winter League, it wasn't a fluke. He can hit the ball, get on base. He's a great addition, and Luke saw something in Winter League. He's like, I got to go get my guy. I think this is a great pick, Blake. How do you feel?
Yeah, I feel like it was a good trade for both teams going here. Luke definitely traded up to get his guy. Steph's a really good hitting prospect. Last year almost made the All-Star team, and then this year in the Winter League, he really stepped it up at the plate. So I feel like it's a good pick for the Cowboys right here.
Luke, what did you see in Stefano to really pose as a threat that I might take him again? You were like, I got to go trade up and get this guy.
Well, I got to be honest, this came down to the wire. Me and Michael, we had probably hours of conversations over who we wanted to take, and, we liked a number of players on this board. At first our priorities were to potentially go out there and draft another third pitcher, but I know, talking with Michael, we're pretty confident in our ability to, develop maybe either Stefano or Daniel, and create him into a third pitcher. But, for us, we've always wanted to just try to, find that right locker room guy, and, another guy that can get on base. for us. And so, we really felt that was Stefano, and we pulled the trigger and made it happen.
Yeah, with that being said, me at that 10th overall slot originally, I never really had a clear-cut guy if I wanted. I still, days of going back and forth between players, and Luke, offering me this deal, I said, okay, this is probably a good idea. I get potential future value next year with a higher draft pick, just thinking more in the future and more impulse of saying, okay, maybe I want to get this guy, but I think this is a great pick, as now my Serpents are on the clock for the 11th pick. Where do you think I could go here, guys?
Well, there's kind of some names that jump off the board for me. I mean, Adam Coco's there. He played with them last year. He's a bona fide, starting pitcher in this league, in my opinion. He's got a decent bat. He can get on base. He's got power. He hit 2 home runs last year for the Serpents. Other names like Jane Patel, I think he's kind of a sleeper pick in this draft. I mean, how often does a Gold Glover slide this far in the draft? I mean, that speaks to the talent of the league. I mean, you could get to names like Aaron and Luke Van Eyck. These are all solid players that are could find themselves in a Serpents uniform next year. So, I personally, I don't know where Ben's going to go with this pick. It's kind of a wild card for me. So, what do you think, Blake?
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I feel like you could go Adam here, or you could go Jaden, or you could go with a new rookie and Aaron. I feel like all are solid options. Having Adam last year, you can have that pitching dynamic again. If Everett struggles on the mound, you can always rely on Adam on the mound, and have some bats with Aaron and Jaden. They're good guys that get on base, and to see where he goes.
Like I said earlier, I'm very close with the source of this team, and he has told me that the pick is in, so we'll see you guys at the 11th overall pick in the Rotundo Wiffle Ball League draft. The Southern Serpents select Aaron Shahini, infielder.
And that's the first upset of the draft. You get a rookie at Aaron at 11. The first thing that jumps off the page to me, I guess, is Adam Coco. He was on the team last year. He had a great showing in the World Series, and I guess Ben decided to go in a different direction here. They get a young rookie in Aaron. I know he had a great winter league. And I'm really curious to see, how he's going to gel with that Serpent team. But, I'm very surprised by the direction that Ben went, and that's not a, disrespectful to Aaron at all. He's just an unproven commodity in this league. But I know with the scouting and the the player development department of the Serpents, I would not be shocked if he would be in the All-Star game this upcoming season.
Yeah, I was honestly surprised myself. I thought Ben would go Adam again. Adam had a great year last year for the Serpents, but he gets a kid in Aaron who's he's super motivated. He wants to be great. I think with Ben at the helm coaching, I feel like Aaron could really use that motivation and turn it into results. So I feel like it's a great pick for the Southern Serpents right here.
Yeah, not again. I don't want to speak for Ben too much here, but this is one of the beauties of the league. Every year you get new rosters, you get new players to gel together, and I think that was probably one of Ben's thought process. You want to change it up a little bit, and so what better way to do that than get the most kind of the biggest draft unknown, if you may. So Ben, what was going through your head when making the selection?
Yeah, I think this is a great selection. I previously stated is I didn't really know what I was doing going into this draft. I know I wanted to adjust the pitching needs. We needed a second pitcher as Clayton can't really pitch, and me and Clayton went back and forth, talking prospects, and I was pretty interested in Stefano. He was on the board, and when Stefano got taken, I was like, I gotta reroute. I gotta do a reroute. And something I see in Aaron Shahini is exactly what I saw in Stefano last year. I picked Stefano last year. A lot of people a little bit with some O's saying, oh, that might be an overdraft. And I think that could be the same reaction here with Aaron. I see a kid who's determined, ready to play. And he played pretty well in Winter League with a little bit of, practice and stuff. So I think you get him in the uniform, get some gel moving with the chemistry. I think Aaron's a great pick here. I'm excited to have this kid. I know he's excited to be here.
And with that, we head to the 12th overall pick with the Outlaws are now on the clock. Initial reaction now with a little bit of the shakeup is you got, two guys jumping off the page for me. You got Adam Coco, obviously. He just came off a World Series appearance. He had 2 home runs. Over the course of the season, he had a sub-4 ERA, and he had 3 wins on the mound. He would be my favorite to go, but, you can't overlook Jane Patel as well. Again, you don't want to restate the talent in this league. If you're talking about a 12th overall pick and there's a Gold Glover sitting right there, it almost seems like a no-brainer. But I don't think there's any way that Connor could go wrong here with this pick.
I think you're right too. Is Connor gets 2 guys. He gets a guy like Adam, who there was some buzz around his name potentially going 7th to Connor, and now you got him potentially at 12. I think that could be maybe the steal of the draft. Adam Coco falling this late in the draft after proving he can hit at the biggest stage. He can pitch, and he was an all-star. We're maybe forgetting he was an all-star. He was a great player for my team, and I think Connor Aga taking a guy like that, or even Jaden, who won Gold Glove. I mean, there's no wrong here for Connor Aga. Blake, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I feel like you have these two prospects on the board right here. You can go either direction he wants to. I feel like Adam can have the production both on the mound and at the plate, and Jaden also at the plate and also on defense. He can really have that solidified Gold Glover behind you. I feel like it's great value to have.
I'm very curious because I think no one really knows where Connor Aga will go with this. But that being said, we have the pick. It is in. We will meet you guys at the podium. With the 12th overall pick in the Rotundo Wiffle Ball League draft, the United Outlaws select Adam Coco, pitcher, DH. Is Adam Coco going 12? What a shocker, I think. You know, you're looking at a guy who literally performed in the World Series, like we just said, hit 2 home runs, all the RBIs for the Serpents, and he falls to 12. I think there's so many question marks that even Adam may be hearing what's going on. I think Connor Aga gets a phenomenal draft class. You know, you have two guys that you are maybe debating over at 7 that you get at 7 and 12. I think he's just hit this out of the park. How do you guys feel?
Yeah, I mean, this is my pick for still the draft. You know, people are going to look at it and say, how did Adam slide to 12? But, you know, I think it's kind of a little bit of, you know, bad luck for Adam. I mean, you look at the 4 picks in front of him, you know, those are teams that already have 2 pitchers. You know, Adam, in my opinion, is probably one of the better pitchers in this league. And, you know, once you already get, you know, your 2 guys, you really don't need to add a 3rd pitcher unless you know, expect one of your guys to be gone for an extended period. So, you know, I think it's a great fit. You know, Adam's going to walk in there and be an impact player for the Outlaws. And, you know, Connor got an amazing value pick, you know, at this point in the draft. I know Adam's probably going to have, you know, a fire under him.
I was about to say that. I think, if anything, this is going to light Adam, you know, on fire. You know, he was probably thinking, there's no way I'm the 12th best player in this draft. I know Adam thinks very highly of himself. He's a very dedicated player. And I think the Outlaws just put together a very good draft class. Connor Aga, Blake, what do you think of this draft?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with both you guys. I feel like this could end up being the steal of the draft, having Adam here at 12. And I'm sure Connor had discussions about maybe even taking him at 7, like he said. I feel like this would definitely motivate Adam, light a fire under him, like he said. And I feel like Connor absolutely knocked it out of the park with this draft class.
Yeah, like I said, maybe passing on Adam is a little bit of a fear in my heart, is maybe I made the wrong selection. But, you know, like you brought it up, you know, after getting Everett, I knew we had 2 pitchers already locked up. So that's kind of why I maybe steered away, trying something different, hoping that our team can build something better than what we had last year. But Adam's a great player. I can vouch for it. Connor Aga got a great guy here. And just moving on now, Blake's team is on the clock. 13. You know, you look at the guys. You got Luke, Cush, and Jaden Patel left. You got a lot of options here. You know, Cush hit a home run in Winter League, showing he might be a little bit better. It's just the first year jitters, getting it out of the league. And Luke Van Eyck showed he was a little bit of a pitcher, had some walks. He had a walk-off single against the Frontier Frost. So he's a guy you look at there. Luke, how do you think Blake could attack this pick here?
Yeah, I know. To speak to all 3 of them, you know, I think, you know, Cush, he showed a lot of flashes in the Winter League. He showed some power off that bat, which was really good to see. You know, Luke, I know, you know, I've heard around he's changing some of his, you know, approach to the plate. So I expect a big jump this year for him. And then, you know, you look at Jaden, you know, like I mentioned, he's a Gold Glove winner, and he's, at this point in the draft, he's an A+ defender in this league. You know, if he can kind of figure out the bat a little bit, kind of improve his presence at the plate. I mean, I don't think there's any wrong answer here for Blake, and I'm excited to see, you know, where they go with this pick.
That being said, the pick is in. We will meet you guys at the desk. With the 13th overall pick in the Rotundo Wiffle Ball League draft, the Western Pacific select Jaden Patel, infielder. There it is, 13th overall pick, Jaden Patel. I mean, the first thing I say, you brought it up, the talent in this league. A Gold Glove winner falling to 13. I think Blake, yet again, who had amazing first 2 picks, has a steal just laying right in his lap, and I think it's a great pick. I know Jaden is going to be fired up to play with one of his best buddies here, finally being on his team. Luke, how do you feel?
Yeah, I got to give the Western Pacific an A+ draft. I mean, you look on the board, you get, you know, arguably the best player in the draft in Tate Yannick, and then you get one of the best pure hitters in the draft in Gavin. Then you get the best defender in the draft in Jaden. I mean, that's about as good as you can get it. You know, like we kind of mentioned earlier, you know, Jaden can just improve, you know, a little bit of his bat, a little bit of his plate presence. I mean, he can be an all-star in this league. I mean, the defense is there. And I'm really excited to see how he's going to do in a Pacific uniform.
Yeah, Blake, you had a guy who was second in walks last year, 31 walks, right behind Alex Coco. You see a guy who can walk really well, get on base. I think that's going to be a perfect guy for this rotation, or for this team, I'm sorry. When you got 3 guys who can hit the ball, you got a guy who's just going to get on, play great defense. I think this is a great pick. I don't think the Pacific missed any picks. They made the right pick at the right time. I think the Pacific are back, folks. How do you feel, Blake?
Yeah, I'm super excited. Getting one of my good friends and Jaden Patel. Him and Tate, having them two together again when they're on the dub, and adding Gavin to that. I feel like it's a great draft class I had. Just got to work on some little things with Jaden, maybe being more aggressive at the plate, but he arguably has the most disciplined eye in the whole entire league. And talk about that defense. We said all day, Gold Glove winner. Just super excited about this team.
And one thing I want to note, I think Jaden is really good at is he's a really good awareness guy. Like he knows if there's one out and he's got, for instance, last year he had Tate on deck, he would, be a little bit more passive to try to get on base for his guy to hit the runs in. And I think it's going to be the same thing here. He's going to be the right guy, walk at the right time, and just be the guy who does all the dirty work for your team and try to get runs and win the game. Jaden just wants to win. He's going to a team that's going to want to win. I think this is a great pick.
Love it.
And now you move on to the 14th pick, the Midwest Express, closing it out. You only have two guys here, Luke or Kush. I think there's no really wrong pick here. Two great guys who are trying to get a little bit better in the league. Kush, homer in the Winter League, showcasing, hey, maybe he can be a serviceable 4-bat. And then Luke Van Eyck, who had a pretty high OBP, he walked a decent amount, saw a little bit of pitching. Now, I think if he does get picked here, he won't be picked for that. Maybe just to get on base, like we said about Jaden. What do you think that the Mids Express should do here?
Well, it's for either of these guys, Luke or Kush. I mean, they're going to a team that's going to have Josh Wilmot, Blaine, and Austin on a team. Those are three guys that you can learn a lot of, especially at the plate. I think both these guys have really high ceilings, and given the length of the season and the 21 being 21 games long, I think both of these guys would be impact players in their respective roles. So I don't think there's a wrong answer here. But both players would fit in immediately, and I'm just excited to see what the Express are going to look like.
Blake, what do you think the Express should do here, even given the short options of two players?
Yeah, I mean, personally, having Luke last year on the team, maybe the numbers might not show it, but that kid he works hard. He wants to be good, and I feel like that might be the better choice here. But I know Kush he's a great kid, great player as well. Just gotta work on the aggression at the plate, and then just up on offense. So I just feel like either one is just a great pick.
I agree with you, and we will find out very soon as the pick is in. We will meet you guys at the podium. The 14th overall pick in the Rotunda Wiffle Ball League draft, the Midwest Express select Luke Van Eyck, infield. And I think this is a pretty great pick for Austin, rounding out a very good draft class, who I think the Express on paper are maybe one of the best teams in the league. Already you get Luke Van Eyck, close friend of Austin. Like Blake said, Blake managed the guy, vouches for him. He's a great hard worker. I think this is a great pick. High walk rate, get a guy on base, let the other guys do the dirty work, and hopefully Luke has a better season this year. I'm rooting for the kid. I like this pick.
Yeah, I mean, it's not anything against, Blake's team, but sometimes, all a player needs is just a change in scenery, a new jersey color, and, working under a new team. And, I like the pick. Like Ben said, he had a high walk rate. He can, he's proven he has a great eye, can get on base. Just got to work on some things with the bat speed and, try to put it in play more. But, he's shown the ability to do all these things. Just got to put it together, over a 21-game season.
Yeah, and I think one thing is he's going to a team that's new. So it's just a complete fresh start. It's just unknown. No one knows what's going to go on in the Express. You got a bunch of guys, a guy who hasn't played in a year. You get a guy like Austin who's never managed, and then you got Luke who's going to a new team. So I think this is a great pick for him. And that being said, the 15th pick, we'll see you guys at the podium. And with the 15th overall pick in the Rotunda Wiffle Ball League draft, the Frontier Frost select Kush Vadi, infielder. Is Kush Vadi going to the Frost? And this is a great pick for Alex Coco here. Alex personally let me know he was hoping that Kush did not get picked and hopefully falls to his last spot. Goes to a guy who helps him maybe fix his swing. Kush hit his home run in Winter League. We talked about that. And great friend of Alex. It's a great pick, and I think Alex Coco rounded out a very good draft. I'm very interested to see that team. It seems like a team of unproven and a lot of potential to see how they can do. How do you guys feel?
Yeah, I love the pick. I gotta say, Kush is probably one of the most coachable guys in the league. I know you worked with him personally, and Alex did also. And he's flash power in that bat. I love to see that it be consistent over a 21-game season. But there's just so much talent in this league, and we're happy to have all these players that got drafted. And I think it's going to be a great addition for the Frost, and I'm excited to see how it pans out.
Yeah, Kush is running back with Alex again on the Frost. I feel like Alex can really get in the lab with Kush and just help that consistency out at the plate and that confidence. Kush obviously showed some improvement this winter.
Yeah.
Hopefully root for the kid to have some more improvement during the summer.
Yeah, and I think one thing helping a lot of young players in the league is, maybe being on a team with someone who's you're really close with as friends, like maybe even you with Jaden. It's going to help you get better, and I'm rooting for Cush and all these draft picks. And that being said, that concludes the 2024 RWL draft. We appreciate all you guys. It's going to be a great season. We're all excited, and I appreciate my co-hosts Blake and Luke. Anything you guys have to say?
No, it's just exciting. Congratulations to all the players that were selected tonight. Keep in mind, it doesn't matter where you're drafted. It just matters, what happens at the end of the year. So
having some fun. That's all that matters.
It's going to be a great season, and I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm super excited as well. Yeah, I know. I feel like every team got a lot better today. I feel like this talent this year will really separate itself from the prior year. So really excited to see that this upcoming season.
I just can tell you guys, 2024 is going to be a huge year. So much stuff behind the scenes you guys don't even know about. So I'm very excited, and with that being said, we will see you guys hopefully soon in whatever video we have next. So see you guys soon. Thank you.